scroll saw. Now the scroll saw is kind of special. Alright? It's designed to cut thinner material. Okay? The thicker material doesn't cut very well over here. It's designed for thin material. It also has a very thin blade, so that when you make a cut, you don't lose a lot of material when you make your cut. So you could make a jigsaw puzzle on a scroll saw. Now the handheld version of this is called a jigsaw. I can show you one of those later. This is called a scroll saw. It's very simple in how it works. The blade goes up and down, creating the cutting force. Okay? The motor is located right here. The axle is attached to something called a concentric circle. You guys know what that is? They also work on something called a cam system. As the circle turns, there's going to be an up point, and as it turns to the bottom part of the circle, there's going to be a down point. So that's how you take rotational motion and turn it into the up and down motion that this machine would work. So that's going to be on the test. I want you to understand that. What is the part that takes rotational motion and turns it into linear motion? Linear meaning the up and down motion. Okay, and the answer is a concentric circle or a cam. Now, when we go to the board in the other room, I'll explain that a little bit better. Okay, just know that it takes rotational motion, turns it into linear motion. This particular machine does not have a way to slow it down. It's a one-speed machine. Okay, some of the other ones we can turn the speed down so it's not going so fast. But since this thing has such a thin blade, and the blade is not very thick from the front to the back, we can make some pretty tight turns. It's pretty cool. Okay, it's just painstakingly slow. So when you come over here to cut using a machine like this, you got to take your time. It's gonna take some time to make the cut. You can't jam the piece of wood through there because these blades are brittle. They break very easily. And if you're pushing too hard, they'll break. Okay? So can I borrow a pencil? Thanks. So what I'm gonna do is, I'll just cut a little piece out. A little S-curve maybe. Or just almost like a little puzzle piece, so that you can see that the curves you can cut very simply. Alright, so I'll cut that little corner off and we'll see how this machine works. This right here is called a foot. The foot helps you hold the piece of material down on the table. Okay, some of the other machines you can adjust the foot up and down, but you have to help it. It's not going to do it for you. You have to hold the material onto the table and push at the same time. So, here's the on-off switch. And you just, on this machine, you just want to follow the line. Okay? So, you see that shape I just cut out right there? If you put the piece back in, let's see how's it go. You can see that I didn't lose a lot of material when I made my cut. The amount of material that you lose when you make a cut is called a kerf. K-E-R-F. With a machine like this, it's only as thick as the blade is. But if you're cutting at the table saw, every time you make a cut, you lose 1/8 of an inch. So let's say you take a long board and you want to cut it into different lengths. Let's say you make 8 cuts. How much material did you lose at the end?
An inch.
You lose a whole inch of material. It turns into sawdust, right? Okay, so we have to take that into consideration when we're cutting things. Don't forget about the kerf. All right? This is why you can make, different jigsaw puzzles and stuff. Now, have you ever seen those boards with the name is cut out and you can take the name pieces off? Take the letters off? You can do that on a scroll saw. What I did is I took a piece of wood like this, I cut my kid's name out of the middle, and then we took this and glued it to another one so the name would fit inside the top one and the bottom one would keep it from falling through. And then we put legs on it and made it into a stool so they could stand up on it and brush your teeth or whatever. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that you can do with the scroll saw. My wife's grandfather, who is 86 years old, has a very nice scroll saw that he makes artwork out of. How many people have ever taken a picture of something and turned it into a black and white? Okay, not grays and stuff, just turned it black and white. So when he took the picture of our dog, turned it into a black and white, and he was able to cut just the black parts out of the piece of wood. So we have a piece of wood with our dog's face in it, in the piece of wood. It's pretty cool, actually. So it's kind of neat, the things you can do with the scroll saw. The safety of this machine is, don't touch the blade. And that it cuts so slowly that if you touch that blade, there might be something wrong. Okay? These are very safe machines as long as you pay attention to what you're doing. All right? Any questions about this machine?